So, Mr. Ted Turner, Robert Edward Ted Turner III, born November 19th, 1938, is an American entrepreneur, television producer, media proprietor, and philanthropist. I love philanthropists because those are the folks with the money, and they put money into things anyway. He founded the cable news network, CNN, right? Right here. You all know the drill. The first 24-hour cable news channel. In addition, he founded WTBS, which pioneered the superstation concept in cable television, which later became TBS. Right? You call it is an American pay television network owned by Warner Brothers Discovery US Networks division of Warner Brothers Discovery. It carries a variety of programming with a focus on comedy along with some sports events, right? Keep your mind occupied. So when they call that the superstation, this is something that happened in the 90s, right? Is a term in North American broadcasting that has several meanings. Commonly, a superstation is a form of a distant signal, a broadcast television signal, usually a commercially licensed station that is retransmitted via communication satellite or microwave relay multi-channel television. So I'm going to do a post on television and the world of that because television has been around for a long time, Negroes. All right, this is your bro. So, as a philanthropist, he gave 1 billion to create the United Nations Foundation, charitable organization headquartered in Washington that supports the United Nations and its activities. It was established in 1998 with a $1 billion gift to the United Nations by this bro. Right? So I encourage you guys to read and take a look. I will, I know because not everyone can read, right? And there is a lot of dyslexia. I'll give you what you can. And if you can read, right, I implore you to look this stuff up. Additionally, in 2001, Turner co founded the Nuclear Threat Initiative. So, what the, you know? So, generally referred as NTI, it's a nonprofit organization located in Washington, D.C. The American Foreign Policy think tank was founded in 2001 by former U.S. Senator Sam Nunn. Okay? And so, don't forget, these spots are always nonprofit, always. So, give it up to them for keeping it up and so but once again we're back here with the nuclear thing, right? So let's see here, let's look at a little, us, right? We always like, who your mama? So and even before we'll get to the dates and all that, Turner's media empire began with his father's billboard business. So his dad used to do this billboard, right? That billboard thing, that's what advertising media. Turner Outdoor Advertising, which he took over in 1963. So that's a minute. That's over 50 years after his father's suicide. Ah, I didn't know that. It was worth 1 million. Condolences to his family. His purchase of Atlanta UHF station in 1970 began the Turner Broadcasting System. So, UHF, we used to have VHS. Was it VH? Oh my God, it's been that long. VHF and UHF, if I'm correct. But that you kids don't know what that is. But that, okay, VHS or VHF was channels like the major players, CBS, NBC, ABC. Those were the VHF channels. And UHF was kind of the more funky but good educational channels. Those were like the Channel 33s, the PBS, right? And maybe a few dirty ones too if you were lucky. But anyway, so yeah, ultra high frequency is the ITU designation for radio frequencies in the range between 300 megahertz and right. So, but this is old. Well, still, I always say, old technology is still technology, like the transistor radio, right? I highly implore get yourself a transistor. Maybe there's something to that. They're trying to turn us into transistor people. Okay, so in 1970 began Turner Broadcasting System. So he popped up that business. This is something to say about life, eh? Because we didn't even get his age yet. Turner, yeah. So American television and media conglomerate founded by this guy. So yeah, it merged with Time Warner on October 10th, 1996, and as of April 2022, its assets are now owned by Warner Brothers. Okay, Warner Brother. So yeah, so they that they covered stuff, and then CNN revolutionized news media covering the space shuttle challenge disaster, right? And there are some thoughts about that whole thing. The Persian Gulf War, 1991. Yes, that's what really took off for CNN. I remember anyway. Turner turned the Atlanta Braves baseball team, right? He did that business, including the 1995 World Series. So what a great thing, doing great things and mouth of the South. That's what they call them, Captain Outrageous, environmental causes, right? So this is good. But let's see, early life. So he was born in November 19th, happy belated, 1938 in Cincinnati, Ohio, the son of Florence Nee Rooney and Robert Edward Turner II, a billboard magnate. I like how they put these words in here. A magnet. A magnet, the magnet term from the late Latin magnus, a great man, itself from Latin magnus, great, means a man from the higher nobility, a man who belongs to the high office holders, or a man in a high social position by birth, wealth, or other qualities in Western Christian countries. All right. So when he was 9, his family moved to Savannah, Georgia, and raised him as an Episcopalian. Yeah, that's one of those churches, right? Religion. He attended the Macaulay School, Boys College School, 1905. You gotta go deep because they go deep with us, right? Even though those people in the top percent, they surmise how we should be and how we are. Let's see what these people are. Okay, yeah, 250 boarding. Let's digging deep in grades 9, 12, 600. Okay, so back in the day, so that's a lot of people who come from that school who do shit. Okay, private boys school. You know how that turns out. All right, so then university initially majored in classics, right? The classics, all these people, right? Western Greco. His father wrote saying that this choice made him appalled, even horrified. How did his father end up writing that shit and where? He was somebody. And that he almost puked. So there's your trauma right there, folks. You see? There it is. His pops couldn't handle that he wanted to get into maybe classics, maybe on his feminine side. You get what I'm saying? Turner twist twist. Turner later changed his major to economics because he just like fuck piss off, right? Before receiving a degree, he was expelled. What? The bad boy, eh? For having a female student in his dormitory room. Of course, Turner was awarded an honorary BA from Brown University in 1989 when he returned to campus to give keynote address for, yeah, the National Association of College Broadcasters. So after leaving Brown University, Turner returned to the South in late '60 to become the general manager of Macon, Georgia's branch of his father's business, following his father's suicide in 1963. So that's a minute. And why did his dad do that? Why did his dad do that? What a weird thing. Turner became president and executive chief of Turner Advertising when he was just 24. So can you imagine being 24 back then? Just like record executives, right? Because I noticed there's a lot of, well, the ones that are still around, record executives who have created the careers of people and folks. Think about that. And these are all what we call boomers, post-war babies. Anyway, let's continue. So, Turner became president of the Turner Advertising. So after his father's suicide, I imagine, and then turned the firm into a global enterprise, he joined Young Republicans. Okay, that's cool. That was back then too. That was a different vibe back then. Saying he felt at ease among these budding conservatives was merely following in his father's far right footsteps. Right? According to It Ain't Easy as It Looks. So you could always look up that book. Maybe it's probably out there. So during the Vietnam War era, Turner's business prospered. It had virtual monopolies Okay, in all these places, it was the largest outdoor advertising company in the Southeast. Hmm. So there's a little bit more. Um, the book observed that Turner discovered his father had sheltered a substantial amount of taxable income over the years by personally lending it back to the company. I don't know if that's fraud. Anyway, and discovered that the billboard business could be a gold mine, a tax depreciable revenue stream that threw off enormous amounts of cash with almost no capital investment. So right there, you get how a lot of this really grew, right? Because the media is very, it's strong, but once again, it's like the pull of a plug, right? And we're so used to it. In 100 years, that's at least a grandmother away, literally, that it is part of our life, just like with our devices and social media, which is they're having their own little battle between each other. Social media, which is like television, pretty much, like, right? What we're broadcasting now, and the old monopoly of media, which we could still say is like the television, but most people don't really watch television like they used to, right? So these guys made a lot of this happen. So in the late 60s, he began buying several southern west radio stations. In 1969, he sold his radio stations to buy a struggling television station. You see, that was going on up until the 90s. A lot of us didn't even like. I was a student in communications, and I remember they were like that was the second wind of trying to get people to buy cable in the Fox years. And yeah, Mill, yeah, UF. So he bought UHF Channel 17, right? At the time, UHF stations did well only in markets without VHF stations. Okay, so yeah, I was right. VHF, very high frequency, right? So was the ITU designation, and so that was, yeah. So that's the power people, like Fresco, California, and markets with only one station on VHF. Yeah, so that would be it. Independent UHF stations were not ratings winners. This is a good point. So that's always about independent media, right? Or that profitable even in larger markets. But he concluded that this would change as people wanted more than several choices. And he was right. He still is right. Right? He's talking about just the three conglomerates. But now social media is pulling that on him because he probably thought long term, and we'll see what he thought the future should have been. It still could be, but this is the challenge right now between social media and the old school legacy of news and media. So he changed the call sign to, yeah, okay. So watch this channel grow. I'm just kind of buzzed through, right? Because, at least we're getting a little communications course here. Initially, the station ran old movies from prior decades along with theatrical cartoons and bygone sitcoms and drama programs. So that was a good way to actually set up a struggling station. See, I'm even learning this now. If I had known then, which I didn't learn. As a better syndicated product fell off the VHF stations, Turner would acquire it for a station at a low price. That could still happen if you know what you're doing. Okay, so they would including fare like Gilligan's Island, I Love Lucy, Star Trek. So these shows, even by then, even like let's say, I would say the late 60s, 70s, people were watching them, but the syndication was waning. It was kind of not the same by the late 70s, right? Like who's watching Hazel? Like that, who still watches that show? But there's a lot of shows that were like that, right? And even Bugs Bunny was all in love, was like big horror. Bugs is like a big horror everywhere, right? Low cost conflict, and there, yeah. So then you'd have your independent reading news at 3 a.m. Get it? We have 100% share. So I don't want to flow into this, but this tells you about how the technology of things happen. CNN in 78, he contacted media executive Reese Schoenfield, right? So this guy, he co-founded with Ted Turner in 1980 and went on to establish the Food Network. Did you know that? So these guys tried to get this going on since 1977, but he was rebuffed. So it goes to show you can always, if you get rebuffed, you can make it happen. So done with the staff at 300. It's always 300. They use the electronic Yeah, they brought in the electronic newsroom for a change because a lot of them were old school and satellite. So yeah, so basically that's how he made that shit happen. But here's the thing: the Turner Doomsday Video. So let's take a little look into this, what this was all about, right? Because there's other stuff about how the merger went and how things happened. However, this is him back in the 70s. This is how how he's doing today, right? Still in the house. He and this is the thing, that whole thing with the controversy. Not only that, he controversial comments even prior to all of that gives you a little tune in as to at least how some of these folks think. So, controversial comments. Turner once called observers of Ash Wednesday Jesus freaks, though he apologized. Dubbed opponents of abortion bozos. Hmm. A joke about Polish mine detectors when asked about that. Yeah, yeah, whatever. Turner accused Israel of terror. The Palestinians are fighting with human suicide bombers. That's all they have. The Israelis, they've got one of the most powerful military machines in the world. Palestinians have nothing. So who are the terrorists? I would make a case that both sides are involved in terrorism. And he apologized for that in 2011 about the 9/11 hijackers, but also defended himself. Look, I'm a very good thinker. Yeah, all right. And he's also, if steps are not taken to address global warming, most people would die and the rest of us would be cannibals. So I'm always wondering, like, so I guess this is when we say when the good people, yeah, he's a good guy, he's got some good, but then they pull this talk, and they pull shit, right? And they say shit, and it's like, wait a minute, why is that what you really? That's what you really think, right? But he, of course, now Turner has been regarded as one of the entrepreneurs who transformed the cable industry, facts, and being referred to as Alexander the Great of broadcasting. So we got a little look here. Yes, his peep, his boo at the time was Jane Fonda. I believe they divorced a while ago, right? The commissioner's trophy. Yes, he got that. So there's some good story here, right? He's 84 now, straight up, like he's like Rupert Murdoch and all of them people, And this guy, yeah, he's another one. We're gonna hit on him because he's 20% and he's also part of what's going on and with the information you're getting. But these guys, they're quiet. We don't hear anything. We don't hear anything about these folks, right? So that's what I'm saying. If something's gonna shake up, it's gonna be shaken up with these bros right here. That's why I'm just hitting this for a minute, right? Thank you once again for tuning in to the date. Bro.
I believe that was the thing. It was when my father taught me that too.
What's possible? Tell me what's
It's
possible
possible
to do.
that in 15 or 20 years we can completely redo it. If we have to mobilize, this is how important it is, and how important that we do it quickly. We have to mobilize the same way we did when we entered World War II in 1941. We have to fully mobilize everything we have and put it into changing the energy system over. And not just here in the United States, but all over the world. It's going to be the biggest business project in the history of the world. Fortunes, billions of dollars are going to be made. Hundreds of thousands of people are going to be employed. We're going to have clean air. We're going to have so many benefits from it. It's not going to cost us anything. Once we get going with it, it's not going to cost us anything. Only the people that don't understand it think it's going to. Not doing it will be catastrophic. We'll have 8 degrees. We'll be 8 degrees hotter in 10, not 10, but in 30 or 40 years, and basically none of the crops will grow. Most of the people will have died, and the rest of us will be cannibals. Civilization will have broken down. What the few people who are left will be living in a failed state like Somalia or Sudan. And living conditions will be intolerable. The droughts will be so bad there'll be no more corn growing. Not doing it is suicide. Just like.
So you heard that, eh? So not doing it is suicide. I mean, hey, they bring great things. However, when you have to think about it, it's like, why would you guys go so drastic? But hey, he owns the freaking network that he's talking to, so he could talk that shit, right? Let's just hear that again.
is suicide. Just like dropping bombs on each other, nuclear weapons is suicide. So we've got to stop doing the two suicidal things. But not doing it is suicide. Just like dropping bombs on each other, 30 or 40 years, and basically none of the crops will grow. Most of the people will have died, and the rest of us will be cannibals. Civilization will have broken down. What the few people who are left will be living in a failed state like Somalia or Sudan, and living conditions will be intolerable. The droughts will be so bad there'll be no more corn growing. But not doing it is suicide. Just like dropping bombs on each other, nuclear weapons is suicide. So we've got to stop doing the two suicidal things, which are hanging on to our nuclear weapons
and global
and then after that we've got to stabilize the population. When I was born, there were
so what's wrong with the population? I mean,
with too many people. That's why we have global warming. We have global warming because too many people are using too much stuff.
So too many people are farting. I've heard about this argument about cows farting too much, and cars farting in its own emissions, right? And so, but these folks, they put the money to make this shit happen. So once again, it's always about that God thing, right? We're saying, well, God's not smart enough to figure out global warming. And even though he's created us, we have free will, we're still sinners and we're born in sin. And plus, however we come into this world, which is probably not natural, right? We're saying that we can call the world as it is because we have been brought into this world through trauma. I wouldn't be surprised if many of them have that that sort of complex, right? Because the only difference is Jesus did not buy into what the devil said. He said, yay, if you just hook up with me, you can have it all. And he said, no. But a lot of these folks, hey, you know what? I'm not hearing, hence Satan away from me. Nah, they're talking about suicide, we're going to die. And it's all of this stuff. So it's interesting food for thought, right? Because, you think Jesus didn't say that. But once again, they're trying to say, oh, it's you guys, it's us, the useless eaters who eat shit, and we stink up the world. You croak, you die, it stinks. Yeah, hell stinks. I've been hearing. Apparently, they say it's sulfuric, right? You can't breathe in hell, right? But we're here on Earth with free oxygen. We're already stinking it up to be like hell. That's what they're saying, and we're like, well, maybe it's true. I don't know. God's not smart enough because, hey, God put us in the world. And you know what? Since we're so wicked, yeah, we're going to let folks like that say, hey, you know what? We've got to do this. We've got to change your destiny. We've got to tell you. And this is worldwide. It's not just him, right? I mean, whether it be concentration camps in Asia or whatnot. And even then, you have to have discernment, right? How factual is all the fear mongering just semantics?
but
If there were less people, they'd be using less stuff. If we don't get global warming and the nuclear weapons straightened out, we don't have to worry about human rights. The humans will all be gone.
Okay. Do you think we'll do it? I mean, are you optimistic in the end that that the world will come to its senses?
On behalf of my grandchildren and the children all over the world, I absolutely think we got to do it. But I have a way of explaining it very simply. I say the human situation I liken to a baseball game. Do the right things. It's time for smart political leaders. No more dummies. We can't afford dumb leadership.
Join us online at charlierose.com.
Right. So as rumor had it, as we're seeing from that clip, the billionaire founder of CNN, Ted Turner, a man as known for his eccentricities as for his wealth and media legacy, had called for the preparation of a video to air in the event of nuclear holocaust. The legend has circulated for decades, boosted by Turner's own words in June 1980 when he said, "We're going to go on air June 1st and we're going to stay on until the end of the world. When that time comes, we'll cover it. Play Nearer My God to Thee and sign off." In the 1988 interview with the New Yorker, Turner spoke about how the tape was made. Normally, when a television station begins and ends the broadcast day, it signs on and off by playing the national anthem. So just before I continue, we always know folks want to say, well, show us the proof of where this was said. So I'll turn to the New Yorker, September 12th, 1988 issue. Donovan Webster, September 4th, 1988. And in the article here, it says, talk story about a sign-off tape made by Ted Turner. Now, might not be real, might not be true, I don't know. But let's see. Head of CNN in the event of nuclear war wondered what was on the tape. What did Mr. Turner think America wanted to hear as it prepared for incineration? Incineration, man! We need to totally disarm, Mr. Turner told us. Because just as with guns, if you got nuclear weapons, you're eventually going to use them. Normally, when a television station begins and ends the broadcast day, it signs on and off by playing the national anthem, he said. But with CNN, a 24-hour-a-day channel, we would only sign off once. And I knew what that would mean. So we got the combined armed forces marching bands together, the Army, Navy, Marine, and Air Force bands, and Prasad took them out to the old CNN headquarters, and we had them practice the national anthem for a videotaping. Then, as things cranked up, I asked if they played Nearer to God to Thee, put on the videotape just in case the world ever came to an end, by the way. Yeah. That would be the last thing CNN played before we signed off. And I tell you, those guys in the military bands knew what I was up to. He began to play the tape. I can't watch this without getting tears in my eyes, Mr. Turner said, and he left the room tossing his hands in the air. We watched and listened as the band completed the hymn. The hymn. When it was over in about a minute, the band members snapped their instruments down to parade the rest, and the screen went dark. Mr. Turner came back into the office. Pretty strong, huh? He said, I keep this tape around because when the world ends, it'll be over and over before we can say what we wanted to say, before we can leave any final messages. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Yeah, I want to read it with a little flavor because this shit is there if you want to read it. I know I probably have to subscribe and, get in there once again to share it again. The apocalypse will be live. CNN's mythical end of the world video is real, right? So this is the Guardian telling you this shit, right? And they're telling you, back in the day. So you can always look this stuff up if you're really curious to see what the facts are, right? Because it's there. So much there that, hey, is this going to happen? Because obviously now with all this talk of nuclear this, nuclear that, right? I mean, it's a minute. Look at that, right? That's the issue right there. So I'm just giving maybe a heads up. Maybe the angels are saying, you know what? Let the world know what time it is, right? Because that could be also that the narration even, like I was thinking about the Ten Commandments, right? Remember when everybody's seen Charlton Heston and how that shit went down, And we like, hey, we still with it. Admit it. Until they make a Ten Commandments, right? Like with a bro. There's a concept there, but we ain't seen it yet. Until that shit happens, right? You dig? We always gonna believe what the narrative is being bestowed upon us. Food for thought, wouldn't you say? I'd say so, Jethro.
I was in my plane.
Right.
The state department's on fire.
How the fire started there. Has anything else happened in New York? Is there another fire?
One of the two towers.
One of the towers fell?
From the point where it was hit. So,
that's why the smoke's on the
barrel. And we had some people, CNN people who were on Channel 4 who may have been hit by the building.
They were down there in the street.
She was the mayor during the World Trade Center bombing. He was the former deputy mayor.
Andy Mastro, the deputy mayor.
Someone call you so we can find more. He needs to get back to you.
Alex already. Are you in the street? Right now.
All the office buildings around it, including the Treasury Department.
That's right from the top. So don't worry about that.
We're breaking. I told them to break into the
This is the national desk. The Sears Tower in Chicago has not been evacuated. Repeat, has not been evacuated.
What's the...
Apparatus showing us now as we speak. We saw most of the senior staff come out. We have not seen the national security staff that we would recognize anyway, but I should know there are other cases in the White House. We are on the north side.
Soon as he thanks you. Oh, hold on. Do it now. Do it now. Do it now.
Here in New York joins us on the phone. Alan, you're on.
My colleague Jennifer Westover also just arrived. She was closer to the building. I'm just about maybe Jennifer tells me she's closer to the building.
Is he talking about it now?
Began yelling, run, run.
Where's the tape, the ground tape from New York?
It's in X. New York also has it. Ready, 8.
New York is showing something to us.
You're gonna roll it. Roll it.
Some people have told us
It's off. We're on tape here. Here's your live.
A little bit at the beginning. Where
You can go to Aaron because he's got
this is
No, this is Aaron. Hold on. Ready, Browder? 10. Stand by to advance.
10 to 15 blocks north of the World Trade Center.
Advance. Okay, show me Aaron, please.
We need the tape of the ground shots. Moved up. Where are they?
We can't put any new numbers in.
We had that from an hour ago.
Please, right over there. Hopefully somebody's loading it.
Why we can use X and Y.
It's now been evacuated. Again, the UN has been evacuated.
Make sure you talk about that plane in the air. Pentagon says another plane in the air in D.C. We got it.
31 is a CNN Pentagon shot. You see helicopters circling the area.
To Pennsylvania for United Airlines. I've got it. We have confirmation from United that one of their passenger planes, United Flight 93, has crashed in Pennsylvania. It was at Newark, San Francisco, right? 93. Crashed in Pennsylvania.
That was the one who asked if
Newark to San Francisco, and I don't know the number of the plane.
Every federal building has been evacuated or is in the process of being evacuated. And then Pearl Pinkley has crashed in Pennsylvania. Now, I don't...
Hey, we're going to the air right now with the United Airlines.
Pilots just didn't turn it over to terrorists.
Patty's got it. All right.
You can't
Mike.
Yeah, but we're getting enough to this. Yeah.
Now we are getting...
Turkle, that you shouldn't set your goals so you can attain them, because that's a mistake.
Yeah, that's what my father told me.
And you feel that even though you've accomplished all of these things, that you still are operating under that?
I've got a lot to do yet.
Yeah. What else do you want to do?
I want to improve the quality of television and use communications to make the world, the people of the world, smarter and more peaceful. And instead of tearing everything down, I want to build things up.
Let's start with how you want to improve TV, because
we're doing it. You know, with more informative news programming on the cable news network and documentary programs dealing with population, soil erosion, atomic war, and programs that glorify the work ethic and the family and hard work.
Now, give me an example of, if you tomorrow were going to put on one of your network facilities, cable facilities, an entertainment show, what would it be?
Well, I don't think there's anything wrong with entertainment, but I don't think that violence should be used to get ratings, because it has a big effect on the young people in the country. And you know, you got to have a little violence, but I think there's way too. Well, I mean, because there is violence in life, but I think when an entertainment show, I think this show looks okay.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you once again for tuning in on the date. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. And hey, you know what? We'll keep saying our prayers and we'll keep sending the love out there, because you remember, you matter. And God is not a bad God. God is a good God. And we just have to put our heart where it really does matter. And yeah, we're going to be in a situation now where we're going to have to maybe even swallow a lot of egos and get used and to the readaptation that we're going to have at some point, right? Because right now, at least, we are being convinced, whether it be illustrative or in an animate way, of how to live in a matrix that is being created by simple people like you and myself. We'll be right back.